Rawteur, I bet you've never considered that Marvel's problem is that they have too much money, right? And that's not me talking, that's Chloé Zhao, the Oscar-winning director who went from making Nomadland for pennies to helming one of Marvel's most expensive failures. In a recent Vanity Fair interview, she called Marvel's unlimited amount of money and resources actually quite dangerous. Dangerous, not liberating, not exciting, dangerous. And honestly, she might be onto something that explains why the MCU feels less magical these days. See, Chloé Zhao isn't just some indie purist throwing stones at blockbuster filmmaking. She's lived on both worlds. Right? After winning Best Director for Nomadland, she jumped straight into Marvel's machine with Eternals, and the contrast was jarring. Right? Here's how she put it. On Eternals, she had unlimited resources, but on her new project, Hamnet, they only had one street corner to work with. And then suddenly, she says, everything has meaning. Now, what she said there does make sense. When you can afford anything, nothing feels precious. When you can shoot anywhere, no location feels special, right? And when you can CGI your way out of any creative problem, you stop looking for elegant solutions. It's like having a credit card with no limits. It sounds amazing in theory, but it kills the discipline that makes great art. And here's the sneaky part nobody talks about. Remember to clap the like button so that updates hit your homepage first. Unlimited resources don't just show up on screen as bigger explosions. They show up earlier in the process. You see, you lock in previs months before the script is truly settled because it's more efficient, right? You build a safety net of reshoots because the calendar can absorb it. You tell yourself the third act will find itself once visual effects previs is locked in, right? And that's not villainy, that's comfort. And that comfort hardens into workflow, then workflow hardens into habit. And suddenly, the machine is driving choices that used to be driven by instinct. See, Eternals is the perfect case study. See, Marvel threw over $236 million at it, more than some countries' entire film industries spend in a year. And the result was about $402 million globally, which isn't exactly a flop, but for Marvel, it's one of their weakest returns. See, but this isn't just about one movie. The original Iron Man cost around $140 million and launched an entire Iron Man empire, right? Fast forward to Avengers Endgame and the budget balloons north of $350 million. And that's before marketing. That's not normal inflation. That's creative inflation, where the belief is that bigger automatically means better. Remember when Tony Stark built his first suit in a cave with a box of scraps? Now, it feels like every Marvel movie is built in a studio with a box of unlimited resources. See, the more the process scaled, the more the footage started to feel airless, less weather, few surprises, coverage designed to be post-friendly, post being the edit, right? Instead of scene-specific. Right? Second units would catch half of the movie while committees polished the other half. Now, if you don't understand the verbiage, it's fine. It's not necessary. What I really mean is that there's not a lot of texture. The thing about constraints is that they're creativity's best friend. See, Jaws became a masterpiece because the shark kept breaking, which forced Steven Spielberg to suggest the monster instead of actually showing it. Paranormal Activity made $193 million on a $15,000 budget because it leaned entirely on tension and imagination. The Blair Witch Project terrified audiences with a handheld camera and some sticks. See, Marvel spends $200 million and struggles to make us care about space gods. That's not a coincidence. With limitations, every choice matters. Every dollar has to justify itself, right? Every creative decision gets scrutinized because you can't afford the waste. See, Marvel's current approach is just to throw money at problems. VFX not working? Fine. Hire more artists. Story broken? Reshoot half the movie. Can't decide between two ideas? Do both and sort it out in post. To be fair, big budgets can still produce great art. See, when a director sets hard rules and defends them, money becomes a tool instead of a crutch. You feel it when the camera lingers because the moment deserves it, not because the edit needs a scene. You feel it when the environment is real enough for actors to relax into it. You feel it when the action geography is clean and the stakes are human, even if the backdrop is impossible. See, that isn't thrift. That's authorship. The cash is there, but the guardrails are much tighter than the checkbook. See, Eternals also signaled something bigger: MCU fatigue. Many critics gave it the lowest score of any Marvel theatrical release, yet the cast is still locked in. Kumail Nanjiani, hopefully I said that correctly, they're reportedly signed for 6 films with potential spin-offs. Theme park rides, even video games. Gemma Chan has hinted at unfinished business. So Marvel spent hundreds of millions setting up a franchise that audiences didn't embrace. See, Zhao's point cuts right to the heart of that. Too much money, too many characters, too many moving parts. See, Marvel built a machine that constantly needs to be fed. And that machine is very, very expensive to keep running. From the audience's seat, you can feel it. It's not just CGI fatigue, it's decision fatigue. Scenes land cleanly, but leave no aftertaste. A good aftertaste. Most of the time you think an aftertaste is something bad, but sometimes it's good, right? The scores say epic. The lightning says expensive. But the heartbeat is faint. Viewers don't need low budgets. They need commitment. They need the sense that a specific person made a specific decision, a specific choice for a specific reason. When everything is possible, nothing feels necessary. That's why smaller, weirder projects punch above their weight. Scarcity concentrates meaning, while excess dilutes it. I mean, look at Marvel's upcoming slate. Marvel Zombies hits Disney Plus in September 2025. Spider-Man Brand New Day swings in July 2026. Avengers Doomsday just got pushed back to December 2026. And then, of course, we have Avengers Secret War, which lands in December 2027. Each of these requires staggering budgets and massive coordination, making Eternals look modest by comparison. Billions are already committed before a single ticket is sold, and the release dates keep shifting. I mean, Doomsday was supposed to open in May. Now it's December. Not because of creative breakthroughs, but because the logistics of managing these mega productions is overwhelming. When your calendar is dictated by budget management instead of story readiness, you've probably lost the plot. So what would constraint actually look like at Marvel? Maybe fewer plot lines per film so character beats can breathe. Maybe a hard cap on VFX shot counts for the third act so that the finale has shape instead of feeling like soup. Maybe scripts get locked in earlier, not later, so reshoots are more surgical and not structural. Real locations for scenes that hinge on intimacy. Daylight action when it serves clarity. Say no list for cameos unless they pay off in theme, instead of just applause, right? And that wouldn't just be penny pinching. I mean, I don't think it's penny pinching. That's taste, right? So then you have to ask, why does too much hurt creativity? Well, psychologists call it the paradox of choice. I've mentioned this before. Give someone 3 ice cream flavors, they'll pick and be happy. Give them 30, they'll second guess everything. And that's filmmaking at scale. With limited resources, every detail matters. But when you can always reshoot, always add more VFX, always throw cash at a problem, you start fighting for meaning. The result is movies that look expensive but feel empty. Eternals was gorgeous, but it was hollow. More tech demo than a passion project, if, in my opinion. Now, Marvel doesn't need less money. It needs more discipline. Constraints don't just save money, they force focus. They give weight back to the choices that make stories resonate. And here's the irony: Marvel used to know this. Back in the early days, the studio had something to prove. Iron Man wasn't a sure thing, it was a gamble. Robert Downey Jr. wasn't the obvious choice for a superhero lead, he was a risk. And that scrappiness bled into the storytelling. Compare that to today, where every film is engineered as part of a grand roadmap, tied into theme parks, merchandise, and Disney Plus content calendars. The risk isn't artistic, it's financial. The goal isn't to surprise the audience, it's to keep them subscribed. And Chloé Zhao's warning is really about that cultural shift. Unlimited money doesn't just pad budgets, it pads the storytelling. It makes movies feel safer, more predictable, and less urgent. If anything, Marvel's recent stumbles show audiences are starting to notice. The MCU isn't suffering from superhero fatigue, it's suffering from too much comfort. And comfort doesn't make great art. So here's the bottom line: Chloé Zhao isn't slamming Marvel for being rich. She's warning that too much freedom can smother creativity. Marvel's biggest problem isn't a lack of budget, it's that their endless budget has become a crutch. The MCU began with a character literally building something out of scraps. Maybe it's time for the studio to relearn that lesson, that less can be more. But here's my question for you: do you think Marvel's real issue is money, or have they lost something much deeper? The hunger that made those early films feel essential? Let me know in the comments. And for more industry insights like this, check out this video right here.